Welcome to Hoops and Hurdles. This is your girl Teresa Mack, better known as Shayla. Today I am excited, you guys, because I am actually coming to talk to you about Resuscitated by God, the series. Y'all, let me tell y'all how God works. So people have been asking me literally like, Teresa, when you gonna do a book? Teresa, when you gonna do a book? You need to write a book about your life. And I was like, like I started writing the book and then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna write this book. Like it is what it is. But I have been attending Pastor Candy West sessions every first and third Monday called Dream Awakening. And the last session that we had, something she said, it was kind of like, girl, it was like she put fire under me and it was like, you got something, you need to use it. So I was like, well, God, I'm getting my PhD right now, so I don't want to write 2 books at one time. And he was like, well, this is what I want you to do. He was like, I want you to do a snippet series of your life story, but we're going to do it live. And I was like, we're going to do what now? But, when he speaks, be obedient, do what he asks. So that's what I am doing. I am giving you snippets of what will be in my book when he tell me to write my book. The book will be more like full detailed, but this is kind of like a snippet of why you may want to grab the book. I'm not sugarcoating anything. This is my life story. I'm being raw. I'm being transparent. I'm being real. I don't have anything to be ashamed of, because if God took me through it, he saw me through it. He took me through it he took me through the trials and tribulations for me to be an overcomer. So I feel as though my story can help somebody else, because people look at you on the outside and think you have never went through anything. But once you start telling people your life story, it'd be like, you went through what? You dealt with what? Oh yeah, I could relate to that. And that's what I'm trying to do. I just want to motivate, empower, tell people it's okay to be your authentic self. Never hide who God has created you to be. You are God's child. Like, if you have gone through something, share it. Don't be embarrassed about what your story is. Your story is a testimony and a message for somebody else. So today, before I even get started, I need you to go on and subscribe. Don't just watch the channel. Subscribe, like, share it out. If you know somebody who may be going through some things, send it to them. Be like, hey, this series may relate to you, because before I even came on live, I sent out what the series will be about. So maybe somebody can relate to one of those series. Send it out to them. Tell them about it. If you want to follow Hoops and Hurdles platform, as you see below, right there, it is strolling. I'm country. It is strolling. So you can access all Hoops and Hurdles platform, or you can send it to a friend or whatever. Don't send it to their direct page. You can send this YouTube video to their inbox or something, but don't put it on their direct page or whatever. Or just say, hey, go over to such page, Hoops and Hurdles page by Teresa Mack, subscribe and watch what she's talking about. So yeah. So my book will basically be called Resuscitation, but I think God done twisted for me. So I said resuscitation, but my father said resuscitated by God, because he's going to get the glory. And I'm okay with that, because without him, I won't be here telling my story. So the first chapter, the first snippets of Resuscitated by God series 1, I'm going to talk about a father's wrath. So growing up in a small town called Raymond, out of the state of Mississippi, was a blessing. Remember the saying that it takes a village to raise a child? I had that village, y'all. And it was amazing. I had an amazing childhood. My mother was a single parent of 2. I have an older brother, and then it's me. We 10 years apart. Of course, I'm the baby. But yeah. Honestly, I thought it was the norm not having a father in the home because my mother made sure that we didn't lack anything. Like my mother made sure we didn't go without anything. And maybe some days she went without some things, but we never knew because she never showed us. She just made sure we didn't lack anything. However, this young girl started to become curious about the location of her father when she started seeing her childhood friends with fathers in the home. You know how children mind get to wondering like why she got a dad in the house. Why we don't have a dad in the house? What's wrong with us? Hmm. Curious George mind kicking in, eh? My mother had a father in the home until he was forced out of her life, which left her heartbroken. Let's just say generational curses have arrived. I began asking my mother questions concerning my father and wondering why he was not in the home with us. My mother rather dodged the questions or cried, which left me so confused. I would just shut everything down when she started crying because I hated seeing my mother cry. Sometimes it would just be me and my mother. Me and my mother favorite two games to play. Well, really three. We had three favorite games we would play because, like I said, my brother was older than me, so by the time he's probably out the house. And me and my mother had three favorite games we liked to play, which was Uno, Monopoly, and Operation. I don't know if some of y'all still play that, but Operation was a thing. Loved it. Uno, Monopoly was a thing. And when we play these games, my mama would go cook this. It's a wicked recipe, and it's called rice pudding. And I haven't had it since she died. I think one of my aunties tried to make it, and it did not come out right. But yeah, but it was called rice pudding, and she would go make that dessert, or she would bake us some cookies, or she would do like cinnamon rolls. Like she would do something sweet while we playing games, or pop some popcorn. It's kind of like a girls' night thingy, and I loved it. That mother and daughter bonding, I say for any child, is the best. It's the little things. It's not always about expensive things. It's the little things that we will most definitely remember. I noticed at family functions, she would be teased about us not having fathers in the home, which made her very uncomfortable and would bring her to tears. I knew then this was a sensitive subject for her, but why? I noticed when we go to family functions, if it wasn't my family, or let's say, or it would be friends of the family, they would always bring up our fathers, or they would tease her about our fathers, and why we don't have our fathers, and why they're not in the home, and she would cry. And I was very overprotective of my mother. I knew I was small, but I will fight you. Like I would mean mug you. Like don't play with my mama. Like don't do that. And I remember seeing her crying. It was like the 4th of July, and she had this red dress on with the white polka dots, and she with her white tennis shoes, so cute. And I remember her getting up. They played cards, and playing spades, and I remember her getting up from the table, and I went after her like go see what's wrong with my mama, and she was in the bathroom crying. And I'm like, Mom, what's wrong with you? And she was like, nothing, nothing. And I'm like, okay. Like, I heard them talking about our daddies and it made you cry. So, okay, what's going on here? After that, my mama stopped going to like family functions. Like, she had sent us, but she wouldn't go anymore. She would sit home, watch TV, or she'll go to work, or she'll sleep in, or she just never went to family functions anymore after that. Finally, I found out that my father did not want me. He wanted my mother to have an abortion, and she refused. My mother did not believe in abortions and decided to keep me. My father physically abused my mother. He was trying to make my mother have a miscarriage with me, but God. My father was removed from the home by my uncle and never came back, per my mother's personal diary. So when my mother transitioned, my grandmother ended up giving me my mother's diary. Um, and I would read it because I wanted to know like what my mother was thinking. And when I made it to that part about my father, that was the most hurting feeling ever. And then it kind of like made sense. Um, like I knew this question was coming. Like I guess my mother was like, I knew this question was coming. I just don't know how to tell my child that her daddy didn't want her. And and I was like, dang, now I get it. I see why she always got emotional, why she always cried, or why it was a very sensitive subject for her. It hurts like hell knowing that a person that helped created you wanted you dead. Therefore, I call this series or this chapter of Father's Wrath. It's a hurt feeling knowing that this man helped created you, but then didn't want you. I had that same incident when I was pregnant a year or two ago. Um, the father of my child did not want the child. He basically asked me, was I going to keep the child? And I was like, yes, I'm keeping my child. You don't have to be a part, but I'm bringing my child into this world. Um, it's kind of like I felt like I was in my mother's shoes all over again. But when I miscarried, the difference between my mother and me, I miscarried mine. Um, I was hurt. I never questioned God, but I was hurt. But as time progressed and time moved forward, I noticed that God want was best for me, and He didn't want me to repeat um, anything that my mother had endured. So yeah, I had a miscarriage. I lost my baby, and the father of my child basically asked me, "Was I keeping my child?" So, Mama, I get it. The next chapter that will be in my book will be called "Stolen Innocence." As a child, all I wanted to do was watch PBS, play outside, play with my Barbie dolls, play my Nintendo, cheer, sing, and dance. What child don't want to do that? Well, I don't know about children now because this what children have now. But back in the day, that's what we loved to do. We love being children. I look forward to the weekends as a child because I poured a bowl of cereal, of my favorite cereal, and I would be ready to watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Barney, Lamb Chops, Reading Rainbow, Carmen Sandiego, Ghost Riders, and so forth. Woo! What a childhood. Now, my favorite cereal, now if I stay with my mom on the weekends, my favorite cereal will be Pops, Honeycombs, and Smacks. I don't even know they still make Smacks anymore. But those was my three. Now, if I was with my grandmother on weekends, it was Fruit Loops. Because she liked the Fruit Loops and she got me hooked on Fruit Loops. So it depends on whose house I was at. I was going to pull my favorite cereal and I was going to sit in front of the TV on Saturdays and PBS down. And then it was going to be like Muffet Babies and Pee Wee Herman Playhouse. Like, I am really telling my age here. But yes, I looked forward to the weekends because that's what I did. I was a chunky kid, but I was very active. I never let my weight get in the way and always challenged myself. I'm still like that. My mother never held me back from doing what I wanted to do actively. She let me be a 6-year-old child. Now, I know when I wanted to be a cheerleader, she was very timid. It was kind of like, I don't know about that because I had asthma. And when I came to her and I was like, I want to be a cheerleader. And she was like, I don't know. And then it was kind of like, well, maybe that would make me good for her. So when I became a cheerleader, like I didn't have asthma issues anymore. So they say you grow out of it. So I grew out of it. So yeah, I became a cheerleader. This girl is a cheerleader. Yeah. So my my mother basically, she let me be a child, period. Um, she knew if she wouldn't let me be no cheerleader, I was gonna work her to death. So yeah, that's why she was like, yeah, I'm gonna let you do it. But she let me be a child. But let's just say things were about to change for this child. Who would have thought that people you are close to pray, not Pray, but Prey on you? Who would have thought people who should be protecting you are introducing you to things that would affect you later on in your adulthood? I was only 6 years old when I was molested and introduced to homosexuality and same sex. I was molested by a man, but I was also introduced to same sex and homosexuality at an early age. But we would talk more about homosexuality in another series. Did I know what homosexuality was? No. Did I know what molestation was at that age? No, I did not. But it happened to me. I remember trying to tell my mother about my molestation, but the anger she showed scared me, which made me take my statement back. I would never forget that day when I got molested. I went to tell her, and the rage, the anger that she showed, I took it back. I was like, it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen, because I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't know. I just was scared and I took it back. My mother died not knowing that I was molested. But my friends informed me that she knew something because she would have been checking me out, my private area, every time I stated that I was hurting below. The funny thing about this situation is that when I came out about it to people I thought loved me, it was not taken seriously. I came out about me being molested. I think I was my early 30s. I'm 38 now. And I came out about it. And I remember telling a family member about it and it was blew off. Yeah. It was kind of like, okay. But I guess because of the person who it was, they didn't take it seriously. It wasn't taken serious at all. I was like, I just really told you something that really happened to me, and you blew me off. Wow. The stolen innocence, molestation of children. I promise I understand your pain and know why you never say a mumbling word. But speak out anyway, because somebody gonna hear you, somebody gonna understand you, and somebody gonna get it. The next chapter that will be presented in my book will be called Motherless Child. My mother was the oldest out of all of her siblings, and she did not know how to drive. She wanted to learn, but we did not have a vehicle for her to learn. I think my mama ended up purchasing a vehicle, but it didn't run. We had to get somebody to like get it fixed and all. It was like an old car, but it didn't work. It didn't work for anything. So I always say we did not have a vehicle. But when we was living in Raymond, we didn't really need a vehicle because it was a small town, and everything was walking distance. I hated walking though, but everything was walking distance. Like you had the doctor's office, you had the bank, you had the post office, the little country store, the grocery store. Everything was like right there. The laundromat was up the street because the apartment complex we stayed in at the time did not have a laundromat. So we would have to cross over to the other apartment complex when they weren't tripping. But sometimes they be tripping. So we have to walk up towards town to another laundromat and wash our clothes. And I used to hate walking because in the summertime, when you walking, especially because we used to walk to church. Like if we didn't catch the van, we used to walk to church. And just think about walking to church in the summertime in some pantyhose, and I was a sweater. Man, by the time I made church, I used to be hot and miserable. But they used to serve us breakfast, so by the time I seen breakfast, I was good. I was good. But yeah, we walked everywhere. Um, but anyway, we ended up moving from the country to the city because my mother was offered a job, which I was not a happy camper. So when my mother graduated from Hines, my mother has 2 degrees, and she was the first to graduate from college from our side of the family. So when she graduated from college, she was trying to get a job closer to home. We don't know what happened with that. It's about who you know. But she didn't get the job she wanted. My mama she loved computers. Like she was ahead of her time. She really was. She would teach us how to type, but she loves computers. And she didn't land the job that she wanted, but she ended up having another job offer, but it was in the city of the city limits, Jackson. It was the state capital. So we ended up had to move because again, my mother don't drive. So when she told us we had to move, of course, I'm a brat. Of course, I'm spoiled. Of course, I did not want to move. All my friends are here. I am a cheerleader now. I have cheer camp. Like I had I had a whole plan. Like, okay, I'm going to 6th grade. Or was I going to 7th grade? I think I was going to 7th grade. Was I going to 6th grade? No, I was going to 6th grade. Wait a minute, y'all. I'm trying to get together. I was going to 7th grade. That's what it was. I was getting ready to go to 7th grade. I was a cheerleader. I was going to cheer camp, and I was like, okay, when I graduate from middle school and go to high school, I'm gonna be on a major ed team. Like, I'm just gonna be active. I was always in choir throughout school because I love singing. So choir it didn't matter where I was gonna go. I was gonna be in somebody's choir. But I was like, man, we're gonna do what? So my mom was like, we're just gonna be there for a year. We're gonna move back. Let's say that year turned to me forever. I never knew that my mother was sickly or battling colon cancer. My mother was a Pisces, and she was very private. Anybody who knows my mother knows she's very private. The first death that I experienced was my great grandmother, Sarah. I remember that our former neighbor, Miss Percy May, she used to live like below us in the apartments of Raymond. She did not want me to attend my great grandmother's funeral, but my mother insisted that I witness the entire funeral process of my great grandmother. I did not get it at the time, but on February the 24th, 1999, I got it. I got it. I lost my mother to colon cancer, but before losing her to the battle, I was just an 11-year-old watching her mother deteriorate, but still she was trying to be strong for her children. At this moment, I just wanted my mama to live. I didn't care I didn't even know how to cook. I used to be so hurt that I didn't know how to cook. But I used to fry some food, but I knew frying food was not good for my mama. But my grandmother used to come and cook her healthy meals and stuff like that. But it just some days, like after my mother had chemo, it was just some days she wouldn't even want to eat. So she'll eat like beets or she'll eat like some fruit or something like that. Now, if my mother eat a whole meal, that's because she have not had chemo. I remember like walking to school and I couldn't even focus in school because I'm like, is my mama gonna be there when I get there? Like, cause sometimes I come home, my mother not there, she's in the hospital, she done, being admitted. It's this is 9th grade. Like, golly, I'm facing some stuff right now. I knew how to change a colostomy bag at the age of 11, 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? 13. Helping my mother get off the toilet, and it was just a lot. And at this moment, codependency has kicked in, but I did not even know it. Why? Because mental health was not a big issue during those times. Watching my mother transition at my grandmother's house was the hardest thing to watch at the age of 14. My mother was my everything. Of course, God, then my mother. And growing up without her was hell on wheels. Let's just say the passage, Matthew 10:21 through 42, was about to come to light. Again, the passage, Matthew chapter 10, verses 21 through 42, was about to come to head for me. Let's roll to chapter 4 of Resuscitated by God. Cain and Abel rivalry. Everyone knows the story of Cain and Abel. What I thought I would be living in a Cain and Abel generation or witnessing or nope, I never thought it. But if you don't know the story of Cain and Abel, let me fill you in on the story. Cain was the firstborn son of Adam and Eve. And they then had a second son, Abel. It was told that Abel was a shepherd or the keeper of sheep, while Cain was a farmer or the tiller of the ground. Both brought offerings to God, and God was pleased with Abel's gift than Cain's gift, which angered Cain. God did tell Cain that if he strived to do well, that he will be accepted by God. However, Cain was not trying to hear that at all. Cain was in the field with Abel. He came up against his own brother and killed him. Tragic, huh? I know. Hi, my name is Abel, and I was just a shepherd, yet physically assaulted and almost killed by my own. Just imagine losing your mother and trying to get through high school without your parent. That is a tough situation all by itself. But now let's add being physically beaten or assaulted by the hands of your own family. Cain. I was never a disobedient teenager. Never. I barely had a high school life. My friends and their mothers had to rescue me at times just so I could live a normal teenage life. I watched Cain assault others, but never thought that I would be the next victim. I cried out to family members about it, but of course, it was ignored until Cain almost killed me in the presence of my grandmother. I remember one day I was a captain of the flag team. I don't think it was my senior year. It may be my junior year. I think it was my junior year. It was my junior year of high school. And I was a flag member. I toured the flag. And we had a game that Friday. Games was on Fridays. So we was heading back from the game. Everybody getting in their parent or guardian cars. Everybody, Teresa, you have a ride. T-Mac, you got a ride. Yeah, my ride coming. Remind you, I went to Provine High School over there by, what's it, Westland Plaza, Robinson Road. And it was like one street light that was on the whole street, on that side street. And I was just standing there. Everybody's gone. I didn't have a cell phone. So I had like a two-way pager, but you can only use a two-way pager if the other person had it. So about two people only had it. And so I was ending up, trying to text him or whatever, like, hey, come and get me. Everybody leaving. I'm out here by myself. I'm scared. I'm scared. No reply. You home. So I said, yes, ma'am. So I get in the car and they took me home. So as I'm proceeding to take off, my uniform, getting ready to go and get in the shower, I'm being assaulted. I'm getting physically assaulted because why? I left the school and got a safe ride home, and now I'm getting physically assaulted after I've been left outside for an hour and a half with no response. So you pissed off or you mad because you waited an hour and a half to come and get me when God done had a ram in the bush to say, hey, baby, get in this car and let's take you home. It's dark out here. So now you come back home and you pissed off. Now you want to assault me? 15, 16-year-old fighting for my life. Really? I went to school plenty of days with bruises and swollen faces, yet scared to say anything because I knew that I would have to face Cain again. And really did not have anywhere to go. My grandma going to do so much. It was scary living like this. But God. Now my trust issues when it comes to men have begun and self-blaming have kicked in. Even though my friends told me what was happening to me was not my fault. But sometimes you can't help but to think, what did I do? Why am I going through this? Why my father didn't want me? Why did I get molested? Why am I being assaulted? Why am I a motherless child? Being punched, slammed in the floor, slammed on the floor, head thrown into walls, add the verbal abuse, manipulation, and lies. Let's add the financial exploitation, which I will go into another series. I just wanted my mother to come back and get me because I was tired of being physically, verbally, emotionally, and financially abused by Cain. Jesus help me. I went through high school and I didn't say a mumbling word. Some of the people who were close to me, like my high, like the people I twirl flag with and stuff like that, or if you was my really close friends, they knew what was going on within the household. But I didn't say anything to like administration or my teachers because I knew if I would have reported that, like you had CPS and all this getting involved. And at that time, my grandmother was still living, and I didn't want her to feel as though she failed as a grandmother. Like it was just a lot. And I was like, man, and the beginning of this year, I still keep in touch with a couple of my teachers from high school. And at the beginning of this year, I basically told one of my teachers everything I endured in high school. And she was so hurt. And she was like, Teresa, why you didn't say anything? She was like, why you didn't tell me? She was like, if you would have told me, she said, I would have fought for you myself. She said, I would have got custody of you. She said, I wouldn't care who thought what. She said, you needed protection. You needed, and I was like, I just didn't want to disappoint my grandmother. I didn't want to have, make her feel like she failed as a grandmother because my grandmother loved her grandkids. My grandmother loved us. And she didn't believe that I was going through what I was going through because they always thought, she just got attitude, she got sassiness. Yeah, I'm angry right now because y'all not believing what I'm saying. Like, but it depends on who the person was, but I'm like, y'all not even believing me. And I'm like, so yeah, I have an attitude. Yeah, I'm angry. Yeah, I'm not, I'm being kind of defiant a little bit. But when that incident actually happened at my grandmother's house, when I say I seen blackness, I blacked out when my head hit that wall from being, I mean, assaulted. Like I had, I had a couple of times where Cain tried to take me out, but but God. But this particular time, my grandmother was able to see it for herself. And when she seen it, it was like, oh no, we gotta, you gotta get out of there. Like you gotta come and stay with me. Um, and by this time, my big cousin, she came in wide open because she knew of it, but she didn't know the depths of it. But when she heard that from my grandmother, it was like, oh no, he Cain tripping. But yeah, this is just series part 1 of Resuscitated by God. I have 2 more series coming. God just want me to give you all snippets, but when he give me the go on to complete my book, I know a lot of people want me to do my book. When God gives me the go on that book, I'm going to do it. But right now, I am in a PhD program, and I'm trying to close that out. If anybody have went through a doctoral program, you understand where I'm coming from. I just didn't want to write 2 books at one time, and God didn't want to put that much on me neither. So he said, hey, I want you to tell your story, but this is how I want you to do it. So I have been obedient, and I have did it in series like he want me to, and did it like in snippets like he want me to. And share this, um, subscribe, follow Hoops and Hurdles on Facebook and Instagram. If you know someone who's suffering in silence, and they have opened up to you, share this to them. If they want to inbox me through Hoops and Hurdles on Facebook, if they want to message me on Hoops and Hurdles on IG, if they want to send me an email on Hoops and Hurdles podcast at gmail.com, they are welcome to do that. And I will, talk with them. I will, if they need resources, I will try to help them find resources. If they need prayer, I will pray for them, like send them a prayer. Like, let them know it is okay to speak out. It is okay to let somebody know, hey, I'm not okay. Hey, I'm being abused. Hey, I'm going through such and such, such and such. Because I didn't have that outlet. I didn't get a voice until my late 30s. And I'm 38 now. So but I didn't have that between 14 on up. So I am offering myself to those who need someone to just pray for me, or I need this resource. Can you help me sort this, find this resource? If I can't find it, I'm gonna see, can I find somebody who can help you get that resource, or, whatever. Because it's no use of suffering in silence. People may look like they are, ain't went through nothing on the outside, but in the inside, oh my, a lot of people may look at me and be like, oh, she ain't went through nothing. Baby, listen, when I open my mouth and tell you my story, you're gonna be like, oh, we'll never know. I know. But I am now telling my story. And like I said, I have 2 more series. And if you want to follow Hoops and Hurdles, and I suggest you follow Hoops and Hurdles because I don't do negativity. Don't bring negativity to my platform because you will be blocked and removed. But I try to empower, motivate, uplift, man, woman, youth, whatever. But if you would like to follow or want to follow Hoops and Hurdles, down, you see that thing right there? Let me go right. That's strolling. I won't say scrolling. Strolling. It has the link tree, Hoops and Hurdles. Just hit that link. I have it on my, like, you can type it in, or you can go to Hoops and Hurdle IG, or you can go to Facebook, Hoops and Hurdles, and the link is there. You can just click it and it'll pop up, and you have all Hoops and Hurdles platform access or whatever. But yeah, if you all know somebody, or if it's just for you, just reach out. I'm not here to bash nobody. I'm not here to, be negative because that's not who I am. I'm here to tell my story and empower and motivate others. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Share this out. And like I said, if you have any body who want to just, hey, I need prayer, or if you just want to be a part of Hoops and Hurdle podcast, just let me know. My podcast is open. It is a charge. If you want to know, we can talk about that when you reach out. But other than that, thank you for tuning in to today's series, Resuscitated by God. The series part 1, part 2, and 3 will be coming. So make sure you look out for that, okay? Y'all have a blessed day. And again, thank you. This is your girl, Teresa Mack, better known as Shayla.